To Smith, Jabari for three and the win. Yeah! He got it!
We're here to Fuel Rocks News, just the Rockets Fuel podcast presented by the Believe Network and sponsored by Bet Online. Of course, I am your host, LaShard Binkley. You can always find me on Twitter at Binkley Hoops. I'll find my written work over Rockets on SI, which is part of Sports Illustrated. And of course, tonight I want to give you a quick recap of the three reasons why I think the Rockets were able to pull out this huge victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves, 117-111. Tonight's win moved the Rockets at 13-6. They are third in the Western Conference, only a game out of first place in the Western Conference, as they will be taking on the 76ers tomorrow, who will be without Joel Embiid and without Paul George. So the Rockets will definitely have an advantage. But again, tonight the Rockets were able to pull out that huge victory over a Timberwolves team that have beat the Rockets 10 out of the last 11 times. Rockets had lost 5 straight in Minnesota. And with tonight's win, the Rockets clinched their Group A. With the 3-0 record, they are now moving on to the quarterfinals of knockout round, which means they will play one game at the Toyota Center. They win that game, they will move on to the semifinals in Vegas next month. So it was a huge victory for the Rockets. They got close last season to get to the quarterfinals, weren't able to make it. But this year they're 3-0. They're moving on, and they'll be playing that game knockout round at the Toyota Center sometime around December 10th, 11th, 12th, one of those days. They still haven't come out with the schedule, but we do know the Rockets will be playing in that knockout round next month. So, like I said, a huge win, 117-111. The Rockets came out strong, especially Fred VanVleet, which you kind of figured after the performance he had the other night against the Portland Trailblazers. He came out on fire, hit 3 quick threes. The Rockets led by 11 at halftime. Then the second half, things kind of flipped around. Minnesota, as you knew they would do at home, started to make a run in the second half. They put up 31 points in the third quarter. In that fourth quarter, they were able to finally come back and take that lead. They actually had a 5-point lead late in the game, and then that's when Alvin Thompson started to take over. He had a huge steal and a layup to get the Rockets closer. Then he hit a corner three, which tied the game. He also had a huge foul he drew on Julius Randle, a charge that got the Rockets another possession. And then at the very end, Alperen Sengun, who has been playing some of the best defense he played his entire career, definitely the best defense he played his entire career, and probably the best defensive game tonight he had in his entire career. He went up and down, straight up and down, did not foul Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards shot, went all the way down and came back out and then went to overtime. And that's when Sengun just took over in overtime. He pretty much put Gobert in under the basket every single time down the court. And his last basket, a little jump hook over Gobert in the paint. He after he finished, you saw him yelling at Fred VanVleet, and then they showed another angle. He said that basically Rudy Gobert was too small, so that was definitely something to see out there on the court. But I want to give a quick 3 reasons why the Rockets were able to pull out this victory. And the very first reason is Fred VanVleet, and I'm going to actually combine Fred VanVleet and Alvin Thompson because they were the backcourt for a majority of this game. Jalen Green still dealing with illness. He was only 3 for 9. He didn't play pretty much any of the fourth quarter and at all in overtime. So the backcourt is really Alvin Thompson and Fred VanVleet. So I want to combine those two. Like I said, Fred VanVleet has 6 3-pointers tonight. He had one of his best offensive games of the season. He finished with 27 points, 11 assists, so he had a double-double, and he only had 1 turnover. So 11 assists and only 1 turnover. One of Fred VanVleet's best games of the year. I know a lot of people always a little bit sour on Fred VanVleet because he's not the most flashiest player, and sometimes he does struggle converting at the rim, but he had one of his best games of the season and one of the biggest wins of the season, probably the biggest win of the season for the Houston Rockets. And Alvin Thompson off the bench, what else can you say about him? I mean, 15 points. He had that huge 3, like I mentioned earlier, to tie the game. He also had 8 rebounds to go along with 4 steals and 3 blocks. I mean, Alvin Thompson is just unreal at this point. I mean, he's only in his second season. He's only going to get better and better, and he may have found his 3-point shot from that corner, something I've talked about previously, and I actually asked Ime about, is that the shot that Alvin is going to really be able to perfect and actually get his 3-point percentage up, and that's something it seems that he's been able to do this entire season. Every practice I've been at, He's always practicing on that corner three. He's said he's been practicing on his three-point shot all off season, and it's starting to really show. And if he's able to start consistently hitting that three-point shot, especially from the corner, that's just going to open up his entire offensive game to where teams can't game plan to play off of him and play in the paint like they did last season. So Alvin Thompson and Fred VanVleet were two huge reasons why the Rockets were able to come away with this victory, but I'm going to combine it into one since they were the backcourt in majority of the fourth quarter and overtime. The second reason, of course, I can't forget about Alperen Sengun, who had yet another triple-double. He to start the game, he was more of a passer. He had 5 assists in the first quarter, and then as the game started to go on, he started just to pretty much abuse Rudy Gobert throughout the game. He got Rudy and Julius Randle in foul trouble. Like I said, especially in that fourth quarter and overtime, he really started to become a lot more aggressive on the offensive end, and just throughout the entire game, his defense is excellent. He's come a long way from earlier in his career where he would stay in foul trouble. Now he's able to play. He played over 40 minutes in this game and only had, if I'm not mistaken, only finished with 3 personal fouls in 42 minutes of action. And so that tells you how good he's able to play defense now without fouling. He moves his feet a lot better. He's in better position. He doesn't reach as much. And we saw that, like I said, on that Anthony Edwards play. He played Gobert, pretty much didn't do much of anything on the offensive end. Rudy Gobert only finished with 5 points. So he pretty much didn't do anything on the offensive end. And then on the defensive end, he struggled to guard Alperen Sengun. They are one of the few teams that try to play Sengun straight up. Now, don't get me wrong, Sengun was 9-23 from the field, but it just seemed like his impact on the game was just so huge on the offensive end. Like I say, he started the game as a passer, finished the game as the closer on the offensive end. Like I said, the huge baskets in overtime he was able to get, especially that last one where he put the too small gesture out there at midcourt after he put the game away in overtime. So Alperen Sengun, like I said, yet again, another triple-double for the Houston Rockets. And now, if I'm not mistaken, he is in second place for centers and for triple doubles, of course, behind the great Hakeem Olajuwon. So he's definitely the second reason why the Rockets were able to pull out this victory. And the third reason is something that has been a struggle kind of all year for the Houston Rockets. We saw it against Portland. It reared its ugly head. Is three-point shooting. The Rockets have been one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league this year. They actually came in this game 27th in three-point shooting after improving a little bit last year where they finished 23rd, but they are shooting around 33% as a team from three-point range. And so that was a huge deal for the Rockets to be able to shoot. They were able to shoot 41% from three-point range. They were 15 of 37. And when you're a Rockets team that plays as good as defense as the Rockets play, being able to shoot from outside, that's just kind of a cherry on top, because the Rockets are going to pretty much be in every single game, regardless if they're shooting bad or not. But it just makes it so much easier when they're able to actually shoot and make three-pointers, because then teams can't just load up in the paint and try to keep Alperen Sengun out of the paint, try to keep Amen Thompson from driving to the basket. They have to actually extend out their defense. Then that gives the Rockets a lot easier passing lanes into the paint, a lot more direct lines to the basket, and they don't have to, focus so much on just trying to get to the basket every single time, because guess what? They're actually making their three-pointers. And like I mentioned earlier, Jabari Smith only missed one shot. He was 3 of 4 from three-point range, one of his best games of the year. I would have put him in the category of reasons why the Rockets won, which he was. But it was so many great individual performances. I couldn't fit all of them in this 3 categories that I had today. But again, he was great. Dylan Brooks, I can't forget about him. He had 22 points. He was 4 of 7 from 3. Fred VanVleet, like I say, he was 6 of 12 from three-point range, so he shot 50%. Jalen Green again struggled. Like I said, he has been dealing with an illness pretty much the entire week. He was questionable again going into this game. He missed yesterday's practice still due to the illness. So he's been struggling with his shot, to say the least. But again, he has been dealing with that illness. So we'll see once he gets better, he's able to get his three-point shooting, his just overall shooting back as well. And then, of course, like I said, Alvin Thompson had that huge 3. He was 1 of 2. And off the bench, actually, he was the only one that actually made a three-pointer, because Reed Shepherd only played like 9 minutes. He was 0 for 1. Tari Eason struggled from the field. He actually went back to the locker room. Haven't really heard anything else about whether he's dealing with any type of injury. But again, the Rockets have to play again tomorrow, so they'll definitely need their bench to step up. Besides Alvin Thompson for tomorrow, with the Stars playing so many minutes in this game tonight. But again, the three-point shooting was the third reason why the Rockets were able to pull out this victory. One of their best three-point shooting games of the season, especially on the road in a hostile crowd. In an NBA Cup game, for as many people talk bad about the NBA Cup when it first came out, pretty much all these games are a lot more competitive when it comes to the Cup, because I know a lot of these players would like to be able to go to Vegas during the season, something that they normally not able to do because for now there's no team in Vegas, which at some point will probably change in the not too distant future. But again, the Rockets were able to pull out the victory. They're 13-6. They're number one in their division. They are third in the Western Conference. And if they're able to pull out the victory tomorrow, their next game will be possibly for the lead in the Western Conference as they take on the Oklahoma City Thunder back at the Toyota Center on Sunday. That'll be their next home game after they finish this mini road trip with Philadelphia. They'll be off the next few days for Thanksgiving for that huge game on Sunday. And again, they will have a chance to be playing for first place in the Western Conference, something I don't think a lot of people thought would be happening. We're 20 games into the season now, close to 20 games in the season. That's a fourth of the season. So I would expect, I know a lot of times Rockets fans are belittled because they don't necessarily always show up to these regular season games. And a lot of times I know, because I go to these games, traffic is horrible, and that's a huge reason for it. But I would expect Sunday to be a sold out, loud crowd, regardless of what happens tomorrow. It will just make it a lot better if the Rockets do go ahead and pull out that victory against a shorthanded 76ers team tomorrow. But again, I will be out at that game on Sunday, so I'll definitely bring you all the pre and post game and all the other news that's going around the game. I'll definitely be bringing you that on Sunday. Let me know down in the comments, how you feeling about this season? How you feeling about your 13-6 Rockets? Do you think they have a chance to win the Cup this season? Let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We are coming up fast on 3,000 subscribers. And I definitely want to say thank you to everybody that has subscribed. And if, like I said, like the video, that helps you with the algorithm. And if you're not subscribed and you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. We bring you all different type of Rocket contents, not just podcasts. We bring you highlights. We bring you pre and post game. We bring you different events. The Rockets will go out and they'll have different events for Christmas coming up. I'll be out at all those as well. So again, like the video, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And if you are a subscriber, definitely thank you. I appreciate the support. Make sure you check out the next episode of Rocket Fuel Podcast.